Hey y'all, my name's Amy Carico, and a lot of you guys may have seen me lurking around the Facebook Polymer clay groups, and I have been asked several times to do tutorials, and one of the tutorials I've been asked to do is how I get a metallic finish on some of my pieces. Say for instance this one, you can see how shiny this piece is. Now, I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, so I have a little bit of a southern accent. I hope you guys can understand my drawl. But I'll see if I can figure out how to put subtitles up if you guys are having issues with it. But anyway, there's lots of things you can do with the metallic look, like this one that looks like it's been dipped in liquid metal. I kind of tried to do a splash design with this one. Most of the time what I end up doing is putting it on the sides and on the bails that I make of my pieces. So this piece here I've had for about 2 years, and you can see it's pretty shiny. And then I do, say for instance this one, little thin line. It kind of looks like a wire wrapped around there, and I kind of like that look, so I was gonna keep it. Now if I can replicate it on the other earring, that'll be one thing. But anyways, and then I had tried a paint pen on this one, and then I decided that I didn't like it. It wasn't realistic enough for me. So I decided to go over it with this technique I'm going to show you guys. But, you know, this one was pretty difficult with the vine. And it was even more difficult to do the second application there. But anyway, that is some of the things that you can do with it. Now, the secret to this is Chrome Mica Powder. And the Chrome Mica Powder is the powder that they use in the nail salons to give the Chrome nails. And it works fabulously on polymer clay, I've discovered. Now, I've been using it like this for several years. But it comes in different colors. It's, silver, red, gold. I also have blue and green. I may even have purple. I can't even remember. But anyway, you'll be able to find it at least in the gold and silver for the, you know, the typical precious metal look. And what you're going to need is some hard type UV resin, a UV lamp, and this powder. Now, you might be able to use regular mica powder, say like a regular gold color or silver color mica. I have used some, and it does give a similar look. May not be quite as reflective as the Chrome, but it works pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ready to show you guys. And I have this piece here that I've been kind of working on. I'm not real, you know, worried if I mess it up or anything. You can see I've done a couple of the sides here, or 3 of the sides here, and so I have 1 left. And I'm gonna do that last side for you guys today. So when you're doing this, you can use an applicator if you'd like. You can use your finger. I do use my finger sometimes. It just depends what your preference is. Now, one of the keys to making this fairly simple or easier is having a darker clay. So let me put a bead of resin on here. And I use a gum pick to spread the resin across my piece. But anyway, dark clay, the the powder needs the opaqueness of the clay underneath to give it that mirror effect. And you can do it on a lighter color clay, but it'll take more applications, and that might not be the look you're going for, because then what happens is it ends up being too thick. But you can always paint your edges and then go over it with this effect. So what you want to do is drag this along the length of your piece, and you want to make sure that you get down to the edges, because this is a doming resin. It likes to pull away from the edges, making it a little more difficult to get down, really down to the very edge. If you don't get it to the edge, then you have this kind of weird looking double line effect, and it's really pronounced once you put the mica on there. Now what you want to do is pop this into your UV lamp for about a minute, and I'm going to go ahead and hold this piece in place because I don't have the little flashlight here with me to show you guys at least until it gets a second cured. And one of the things I wanted to let you know while that is curing is that as soon as it comes out, you want to be ready to apply your powder. And now you want your piece to be, you know, completely cured. You don't want it to be sticky or tacky. You don't want to see any fingerprints left behind or anything like that. I know some of you guys have issues with your resin not curing, and so I'm not sure that sunlight would be a good application for this, because you would need it to know when it cured right away, and then bring it right in, and then, you know, do this application. And that is because once you pull it out, it has more of a tooth. Now it's not sticky, but it has more of a tooth, and you can wait, you know, I don't know, 5 minutes, but if you wait that long, it tends to be more of a glass-like hardness, and the flatness of the mica and the slickness of the resin kind of won't let the two adhere very well, and you'll have these patches where it won't stick, and then it kind of takes forever, and sometimes you can't even get it to go back and lay back down on there on those spots. So it's really important that you go ahead and do this. So what you want to do is you want to pick up some powder, and you only need a little. That's got a little linty in it. So you only need a little, and you want to dab it on. Dab it all the way across your piece. Kind of press it in. Make sure you get all the spots covered, and then you want to burnish it down. So you want to burnish it pretty good so that you have a good adherence to it. And the other thing is, you want to make sure that you get all those edges that you just pulled your resin to, so it looks finished. There we go. Now in the end, you'll have some little particles that you'll want to get off. And you can do that, and it looks better. And then you can just sometimes knock them off with your finger. But anyway, you can see how that looks. It's pretty metallic-y, if that's a word. So what you want to do after this is you want to go ahead and apply a second layer. And the second layer, I've learned from trial and error is an important thing. If you only apply one layer, what's going to happen is the piece over time is, you know, from being handled or whatever, it's going to wear off little spots where it's been touched and worn and everything, and it'll have these kind of dark looking powdered metal appearance, sort of a tarnished look on it, and that's not the look you guys are going for. So what you need to do is apply another layer of resin and then another layer of mica powder, and what it does is it camouflages that bottom layer and it hides the flaws. So if there is a scratch on the top, that the bottom layer kind of pokes through and camouflages the top for you, so that, you know, you can't really tell that there's any kind of noticeable change in the piece. And it really works well. Like I said, I've had this piece right here for like 2 years, and it's held up really well. I mean, every once in a while I'll pick it up and look at it and kind of polish it a little bit. Not that it gets, you know, dull or anything, but I just want it to shine more. And this piece right here that I experimented with, I've had this one probably about a year. And you can tell it's really shiny. I mean, it has more surface area to show you to shine, so, but it works really good. Now, there is something I discovered that I wanted to show you guys about the second coat and how it pertains to certain things. So for instance, just this effect here. So I made these earrings, and you can see them there. It's kind of a little dot effect. Kind of cool. And I was making this color. It's kind of hard to hold because it doesn't have a back on it. So anyway, this color, the pink and the gold, it has one layer of resin and one layer of mica powder. And you can tell it's quite domed, rounded, pretty defined looking round beads. But this one has 2 layers. And the thing is whenever I went and applied the second layer, or the second drop of the resin on top of that first drop, what happened is it gives the appearance that the top of these, I guess because they're convex, it gives the appearance that they were flattened off. Now, they're not flattened. They're still domed. But they kind of remind me of when a jeweler has a small diamond and he uses those flattened pieces of metal around that small diamond to give it that larger look. And it's called an illusion set. This is kind of what that reminds me of. But you can see the difference in the flat. It kind of looks like a nail head has been pushed into the clay. And I kind of like that effect. I kind of thought that was kind of cool because it gives it a little more sparkle. Pretty nifty. But I thought that was pretty neat to show you guys. Now, one thing I do want you to know is when you're applying 2 coats on your piece, it's definitely a thing that you want to go ahead and do 2 coats of both. If you do 1 coat of resin, 1 coat of mica powder, and then, you know, you go ahead and you try to seal it with just the resin, then what's going to happen is it's going to look like sort of like a mirror under glass. I think I have a piece that shows that, but I'm not sure if I can get that on camera. This piece, it kind of looks plastic And I don't know if you can see that. There you go. I don't know if that shows up the way I see it, but this one has the 2 layers. This one has 1 layer of resin, 1 layer of mica, and then another resin on top of it. And it kind of gives it a plastic mirror underglass look. And that's why you need that second layer of mica powder on top. Now, if you make mistakes or anything on this, you can sand it off. It might take a little more work than regular sanding of your pieces, but you can sand them off and you can begin again. I would also suggest, because this one, for instance, I can show you, or you can probably tell that it's, you know, it's not straight. One of the best things you can do before you start this process is to sand these pieces not flat straight, but where the outside edge is flat, you know, all the way across, so that your leading edge into the face of your piece or the back of your piece is got a straight line to follow. Because if you don't, what happens is, you know, you've got that little bit of pitting or whatever there in the piece that doesn't really show up until you use this effect, and it makes it look like you have this kind of uneven line. So I would suggest that you sand all of your pieces on the side, and it only takes just, you know, a couple of rough strokes just to get, you know, a straightened, flattened surface to work on. But I think you'll find it's easier. It's easier for your resin to lay down, and it's easier to get a straight line. You also, once you get that sanded, you probably want to use some alcohol. Just go across that sanded edge pretty quickly, because the resin will tend to stick to that better, and it'll get all of your oils off of the piece if you've been, you know, doing anything with your bare hands or anything. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you got something out of it. And hoping to maybe do this again. Thinking that maybe I can show you guys how I did some Mica like this. I know some of you guys had seen this, and I also wanted to maybe explore bells with you guys. So I do a lot of my own bells. I did this one a while ago. Kind of Japanese inspired, but you can see that. And then I recently did this one. I know some of you had seen this one on the Facebook groups. Some of my Mica that I like to do, I've got this technique right here that's one of my favorites I'd like to show you guys. And maybe, you know, I can show you guys how to do the abalone power shell. And we can get together and maybe do this again. So I hope you got something out of it. If you guys have any questions, you can find me on many of the Facebook Polymer clay groups, and you can ask me questions there, or you can also ask me questions here, and I'll be happy to answer anything that I can. Thanks.